All right, so you're planning an addition in New Jersey. You've got this amazing vision for more space. But then you walk into the lumberyard and boom, reality hits. What size joist do you need? Which studs? If you get it wrong, you're looking at a failed inspection, and nobody wants that. So today, we're going to cut right through all that confusion. We are going to turn that big, intimidating building code into your personal cheat sheet.
Here's the game plan. We'll find the right section in the code, size up our floor joists, read the span tables, which is easier than you think, then we'll build out the wall assembly. And, crucially, we'll talk about why the county you live in can actually change the materials you have to use. By the end of this, you are going to have a step-by-step guide to speccing out your project like a pro.
First things first, let's talk about the code itself. Look, I know it can feel like this big, scary rule book designed to make your life harder. It's not. Think of it as the collected wisdom of builders, all put in one place to make sure your addition is strong, safe, and built to last. It's the real foundation of your entire project.
So you've got the plans drawn up, the space is cleared, you are ready to start building. But then you're standing there thinking, wait a minute, am I using 2x8s for the floor or 2x10s? And what about the walls, 2x4s or 2x6s? This is the question, right? Because the answer affects your budget, your timeline, and most importantly, the structural integrity of the whole thing. And the answer, believe it or not, is right here. The New Jersey Residential Code is the official recipe book for building. It's not a list of suggestions. It's the actual legally adopted standard. Your plans, the inspector's checklist, it all comes from what's inside this book. And today, we're going to find the exact page you need.
Now, to make this super practical, we're not going to talk in hypotheticals. We're going to walk through a real-world example. Let's say we're building a 14-foot wide living room addition, and we're setting our project in Morris County. Now remember that, because as you're about to see, the county is a really, really crucial piece of this puzzle.
Okay, let's get building. Every structure starts from the ground up, right? So the very first thing we need to figure out is the floor system. That means we have to size our floor joists correctly to support that beautiful new living space.
So what is a floor joist anyway? Put simply, they're the bones of your floor. They're those parallel pieces of lumber that span the width of your addition, and they support the subfloor and literally everything you put on top of it, your furniture, your family, everything. Getting the size right means no sagging, no bouncing, just a solid, stable floor under your feet for years to come. And now for the best part. You don't have to be an engineer or do a bunch of complex math. The code gives you that cheat sheet we talked about. It's called a span table. And this is where you translate your project's details directly into the exact lumber size you need to buy. It's awesome.
And this isn't some kind of hidden secret. The code literally points you right to it. If you go to the International Residential Code, Chapter 5 is all about floors. You find section R502 for wood floor framing, and it leads you straight to the tables for sizing your joists. Zero guesswork involved.
Okay, so take a look. This is a pretty typical floor framing setup. When you first open up the code to the span table, it can look a little intimidating, kind of like a crazy spreadsheet. But don't worry, once you know how to read it, it's actually incredibly simple. Just make sure you're on the right table. The code has different tables for floor joists versus ceiling joists, because they have totally different load requirements. Let's break down that floor table.
The logic here is really straightforward. You come to this table with 3 pieces of information you already have for your project. First, the species of lumber you're using, like spruce, pine, fir. Second, how far apart you plan to space the joists. And third, the span, which for us is 14 feet. The table takes that info and gives you the one thing you came for, the minimum required lumber size.
Okay, let's plug in the numbers for our Morris County project. We're using a very common lumber, spruce pine fir number 2 grade, and we'll space our joists 19.2 inches apart. So we find that section in the table, we trace it across until we find a number that's equal to or bigger than our 14-foot span. Let's see, a 2x8 maxes out at 11 feet 6 inches? Nope, that's not enough, so we have to look at the next size up.
And there it is, a 2x10 can span up to 14 feet 1 inch. Perfect. That is the power of the code right there. We have our answer. For this specific project, you need 2x10 floor joists. It's as simple as that. Now you can walk into the lumberyard with total confidence, because buying the right size the first time is always cheaper than a failed inspection.
Fantastic. Our floor is going to be rock solid. Now let's move up to the walls. The process is pretty similar, and you'll find it over in Chapter 6 of the code. But it's not just about the studs, right? It's about the entire wall system working together.
A modern exterior wall is basically an engineered assembly. It's like a high-tech sandwich. You've got the structural framing, your studs. Then you have sheathing on the outside for strength, you've got insulation packed in the middle for energy efficiency, and then your interior finish. The code spells out the minimums for each of these layers to make sure that wall performs exactly like it's supposed to.
So, a pretty typical assembly for our addition is going to use 2x6 studs. Now you might be thinking, why not 2x4s? Well, it's because those deeper 2x6s give you a bigger cavity, which means you can fit more insulation inside, and that's key for energy efficiency. Then we'll cover it with exterior sheathing and finish the inside with drywall. But that middle layer, the insulation, that brings up a really important point.
And this is where your exact location becomes absolutely critical. The code doesn't just care about strength, it also cares a lot about energy efficiency. That's governed by a different book called the International Energy Conservation Code, or the IECC. And in New Jersey, that means you have to know your climate zone.
Believe it or not, New Jersey is split into 2 different climate zones. You've got the southern, more coastal counties down in the warmer zone 4A, but our project in Morris County, along with the other northern counties, falls into the colder zone 5A.
So why does this matter? It's simple. Your climate zone dictates the required R value. And R value is just a measure of how well your insulation resists heat flow. The colder zones, like our zone 5A, require a higher R value. That means you need more or better insulation to keep your home efficient. So the materials list for our Morris County addition would actually be different than for the same project down in Atlantic County.
Okay, let's bring it all home. You came here wondering how to pick the right piece of lumber, and now you have a repeatable process that turns that massive codebook into a simple, powerful tool. You've basically got the blueprint for success now.
It really all boils down to this 4-step process. Step 1, define your project's key variables: the span, the load, the location. Step 2, use the table of contents to jump to the right chapter. Chapter 5 for floors, Chapter 6 for walls. Step 3, find the specific table for what you're building. And finally, Step 4, cross-reference your specs to get your answer. That's it. That's the whole game.
See? The building code isn't a barrier. It's not there to stop you. It's a roadmap. It has your back, making sure that what you build is safe, strong, and efficient for years to come. And now you have the skills to read that map and find the answers for yourself. So the only question left is, what are you going to build next?